Throughout the coronavirus pandemic, many on the right became obsessed with the theory that the coronavirus itself escaped from a lab in Wuhan, China, and then spread around the world. Remember how Republican Senator Tom Cotton was demanding early last year that China release evidence to prove it didn't come out of a lab in Wuhan? Even former CDC Director Robert Redfield told CNN just this past March that he thinks the virus started out in a lab, acknowledging that others don't agree. For the most part, the theory has been constantly dismissed up until now as a conspiracy. But there's new information that's putting the lab escape theory back in the spotlight. The Wall Street Journal was first to report on a previously undisclosed U.S. intelligence finding that 3 researchers from Wuhan's Institute of Virology sought hospital care after becoming sick in November 2019. The number of researchers and the precise time they fell ill are new details that go beyond a U.S. State Department fact sheet from last year that only confirmed that several researchers got sick in autumn of 2019. They had symptoms that were consistent with both COVID-19 and common seasonal illnesses. The evidence is far from conclusive of a lab escape. We don't know enough about this U.S. intel report either. But more and more scientists are calling for an investigation into that possibility, including President Biden's chief medical advisor.
Are you still confident that it developed naturally?
No, I'm not convinced about that. I think that we should continue to investigate what went on in China until we find out, to the best of our ability, exactly what happened.
Dr. Fauci is right. We need to know what happened, and China hasn't been transparent. In fact, American officials say unless China gives more access to their records, we might never know how COVID-19 came about. And that is simply unacceptable. We need a full, independent investigation by the WHO, by the international community. We need to find out how this started so we can prevent it from happening again. But, and it's a big but, if the virus escaped from a lab, and if we had known that in the spring of 2020, would things have been any different here in the US? Would that have changed our response, made things better for Americans? Would the Trump administration have taken the virus seriously instead of suggesting it would just disappear with the warm weather? Would they have backed lockdowns instead of opposing them and lifting them too early? Would they have come up with tests that didn't work? Would Trump have led by example by wearing a mask? Would he still have asked about whether or not you could inject your body with disinfectant? Would he still have admitted to Bob Woodward that he knew how dangerous the virus was early on, but wanted to, quote, play it down? Would any of the almost 600,000 Americans who died from COVID-19 still be alive today? In my opinion, knowing whether the virus came out of a lab or not, that wouldn't have changed any of that. We know the answer to all of those questions. The truth is that hundreds of thousands of Americans are dead today, not because China lied, but because our government last year, the Trump administration, was almost uniquely among world governments incompetent, negligent, and dishonest. So those who've been espousing the lab escape theory can gloat all they want about this new attention on the possibility.
I'm glad to see that Democrats and all these public health bureaucrats and scientific so-called experts like Dr. Fauci are coming around to accept what basic common sense would tell most Americans.
They can gloat all they want, but let's be clear. They want to talk China and Wuhan and labs because they don't want you to focus on the horrific reality of COVID-19 here in the United States, the mass death, the mass suffering, and the fact that it didn't have to be this way. Hi, I'm Mehdi Hasan. Thanks for checking out our channel on YouTube. You can see more of the Mehdi Hasan Show by clicking on any of the videos on this screen, and make sure you subscribe below to stay up to date on the day's biggest stories. Thank you for watching.